Well, hello, Denton. This is Jake Laughlin bringing you another episode of Discover Denton, a show brought to you by the Convention and Visitors Bureau, highlighting events around Denton. This week, we have Kim Phillips of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, along with the greatest number of guests that we have ever had on this show, talking about the Wild Beast Feast happening September 28th at the fairgrounds. Now, this is a very, very cool event. If you have never heard of it before, it is a fantastic event for those of you that like to eat, which should be everyone. So make sure you stick around for this show because it is a very, very fun one. Without any more ado, here is Discover Denton.
Hello, Denton, and welcome to Discover Denton Radio. This week, we've got an exciting show for you. In fact, more people on our show this time, I think, than we've ever had all at once. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guests. I'm going to start with James King. James is Ramey King Insurance, of course, one of the primary partners in Ramey King, but he is also one of our city council members, and we're very glad to have him here with us today. We also have Randy Robinson. Randy is president of Access Bank here in Denton. He's also former chair of the Denton Chamber of Commerce Board. And then we also have Courtney Kennedy, who is marketing director for Denton Regional Hospital. Sounds like an interesting group of people, I'm sure, and I'm fixing to tell you what these folks all have in common and why they're here today. I'm Kim Phillips, coming to you from the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. Welcome to Discover Denton. So I have these three wonderful folks here who maybe at first thought seem a disparate group of people, but in fact, they have one thing in common, and that is the love of wild game. Coming up next week is the Wild Game Dinner here in Denton, and these folks have all been involved in the Wild Game Dinner from different perspectives, different interests, and that's what we want to talk to them about today. So I'm going to toss out the first question. We're just going to have a conversation about it, about the game dinner, and let you know kind of what goes on out there, what you can expect, and why, if you've never been, you're missing out. So let me start with this, all three of you. Where does the wild game come from? Are you guys hunters?
Albertsons.
Yeah.
That's Randy.
La Azteca.
He's a grocery guy, okay?
Yeah, La Azteca. Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's a mix. If you come out to the Wild Beast Feast, you'll see a mix of things. I mean, a lot of the vendor or the booths will have game that they hunted for themselves, and then a lot will have some exotic game that they may have had to go and purchase as well.
So
but
the
it's
hunting
all
isn't
delicious.
always out in the wild with a rifle?
Not always, no.
Although it was somebody's rifle and somebody
was.
in the wild, right? But the cool thing is that it's all coming together through either outside sources, because you can everybody just go to buy elk or whatever? I mean, is that like an easy thing to buy?
Actually, it's easier than you think it is, but you got to search for it and know where to buy it. And if that is one of the rules. It's wild game, but it has to be processed professionally, and it has to be bought professionally, so we're safe and don't hurt anyone in the process. And I think some of us, if we had to depend on our accuracy of hunting, we might not have enough.
You got to serve 300, don't you?
Yeah, and it doesn't say you serve them over a year. You got to serve them all at one time. So.
That'd probably take more hunting than I can do.
Well, in fact, I was going to ask that question. 300 people, is that roughly the attendance each year?
Actually,
It's probably a little more, but I think kind of the rules are, or not the rules, but the guidelines are that you have enough portions to serve 300 people.
Okay.
And so you got multiply that by 10 or 15 booths there. I mean, you're talking 3,000 or 4,500 portions. So
but if
there's plenty of food.
Yeah.
But if the weather is right, which it was, I guess 3 years ago, the weather was just beautiful, and 2 years ago, but last year it rained and it was still a blast. And we had quail. We had totally run through the quail, and my partner, my brother Jeff King, had gone down to Kroger and bought a whole bunch of sausage. And it had gotten dark in the evening, so we had sausage just running through after the quail, and we had people tasting it, and they were telling us that's the most spicy quail they'd ever had in their life. And of course, we were telling them, well,
secrets that go on.
Yeah.
behind
do you find that quail tastes a little like sausage when you eat it like that? But it was so much fun, it didn't matter. But we had plenty But we had, and I think all our booths, I mean, when it's just right, there's a ton of people
Yeah,
there.
even with the rain last year, we completely sold out's not the right word, but we served every bit of food we had.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. When you say you serve the food, is it like sort of like a chili cook-off or something where people go around and taste, or is it a meal and it's like a
Exactly.
buffet from booth to booth?
It's everybody,
mix of both, yeah.
you buy a ticket to get in, and there ever how many booths there are, you can just kind of roam around and taste. And we do ribs, for instance, and we give out one rib at a time.
Okay.
And we
And
don't.
then you can come back.
You
or
can come
whatever.
back if you want to, but there's all different shapes and sizes of food there, and you just kind of wander around and eat.
Well, Courtney, you said you actually do hunt.
I do.
You do. Okay, but y'all, is the rules of this thing don't allow you to like hunt last year's dove, put it in the freezer, and then bring it out for this event, or you have to buy it commercially in order for
Correct. It has to be processed professionally and then purchased through that processor or commercially.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so folks aren't just raiding their freezers and bringing out
Right.
last week's squirrel hunt.
No.
No.
Mike
They may
Woods-
be practicing with that though, as they're getting ready for the cook-off.
Okay.
You got to age squirrel longer than that anyway.
Is squirrel really one of the delicacies?
Well, if it is, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh,
But
my
don't tell me.
gosh.
Rabbit
Of course.
stew was one of them last year, I remember.
Yeah, after hearing what James said about the quail, I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah. Makes you wonder how many squirrels there really are.
Yeah,
in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We could have just passed it right in.
Full
couldn't we?
disclosure.
Well, okay. So, how did you guys get into this whole deal? Randy, you were telling me a little while ago before we went on the air that the Wild Game Dinner's been going on for now 7 years.
This is a 2007 was the first one.
Okay, and you're like we're at the very beginning.
I was at the first one. In fact, I'm not sure when we started talking about doing a cookout wild. I don't know how it morphed into a wild game, but I was on the board of GDAC, and it was a year or two after I got off is when we did the first one. So it's been kind of in our minds and thinking about it for a while, and it's turned out to be one of the largest fundraisers that they have for the Arts Council, which is great. Something
it
that's
is.
fun, and it raises money for the arts. And
Kind of outside the scope of what people normally think about. When
I
they
think
about the
everybody was
arts, which is
surprised
neat.
the first year, and I talking to folks that have been there, come for the first time. They're really surprised at how much fun it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the price of the ticket is, I mean, if you were to go out and buy a meal of venison or quail or pork ribs or elk or whatever, I mean, my gosh, you'd spend a lot more than what the admission price is. So it's a
yeah.
good deal at the same time.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, GDAC or GDAC is the acronym for the Greater Denton Arts Council, and this whole event raises money for the council, which then through the Arts Council touches other arts groups all across our community, from the campus theater to performing arts groups to music to visual arts. It touches everything. So it's a vital organization to perpetuating the arts culture that's so vibrant here in our city. So how did each of you become, I don't know, chefs? Tell us, James. You're laughing.
The chef, I'm assuming that chef is a broad, kind of vague definition, right?
Yeah, it can be.
Damon Ward and Mark Huff kind of end up being the chefs, and often end up just standing, talking to everybody, and mainly serving. But
So it's like a team.
yes, very
Each
much
group.
so.
It's not just
Yes.
you by yourself or Courtney by herself or Randy by
The
himself.
only thing in our team is we might not go with our natural talent. It
I
may
see.
be more discombobulated than that. But it's that's how it kind of defaults. And ours has been a team challenge. Even the Friday night, we'll get together and get everything ready, and then meet
In a
about
commercial
3 o'clock
kitchen.
in a commercial kitchen. That's right. And then we get back together at 3 o'clock, and it basically turns into a 2-day party that you've invited the whole city to join.
That's awesome. I love
it's
that.
a blast. And
Well, Randy, you are a chef, I know, because I've had your ribs.
Well,
They
I
are the best
prefer
ribs.
cook, but chefs wear hats. But well,
A
it's
cook wears a cap, right?
cook wears
Yeah,
a cap. That's
a cap.
right.
It's just not a tall
usually
hat.
gimme. But yeah, I do. I cook at tailgates and stuff like that, and have for years. And so that's just kind of what I do. I do ribs out there, and
And are they ribs that are wild game ribs, or are they just regular ribs like we all know and love you
whatever's
for?
on sale that week. You know, it could be. I don't want to plug one grocery store over another one, but no, no, they're just regular pork ribs.
Okay.
When we first started, I decided I was going to do wild boar ribs, and I ordered some, and I think it was about $80, and it was had about 3 ribs on it, and I thought,
Oh my.
you know, I think this is probably not the way to go.
Yeah.
So I just decided to do plain pork.
Besides,
you go.
why try to perfect
Yeah.
perfection?
Well,
I mean,
that's
you've
right.
got those ribs down. I'm here to tell. What do y'all do, James?
We did quail the first couple of years. We did bison burgers last year, bison sliders, and we're up in the air of what to do. We have not picked. We're supposed to, but we haven't picked yet.
So there's this year's mystery.
Yes, the quail was really kind of cool, and buffalo sliders are always good, but we haven't picked.
Well, Courtney, how about your team?
Well, our team, and actually I've been on 2 different teams, both Denton Regional Medical Centers and Rotaries last year. But 2 years ago we did venison sliders. We always try to do a heart healthy. And actually, usually game like venison, elk are much leaner and much better for you. But this year, because our chef wanted to get involved from the hospital, and he's Canadian, his name is Serge, we are doing an elk recipe. And so I don't know, I haven't tasted the recipe yet, but I'm very excited to see what it tastes like.
Ooh, and it's a
I've
real
not had
chef
elk
coming
myself.
in to do it, huh?
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
excited.
And you said you grew up eating wild game.
I did. Well, I mean, I grew up out in West Texas, so we went deer hunting during deer season and dove hunting during dove season. And you know, the best to me, one of my favorite things in the world is dove with jalapeno wrapped in bacon. You know, I think you
Yeah, I
always
love
grew
that.
up doing
I had that
that.
at a tailgate once.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So, but yeah, it was a treat for us to get venison steaks. I mean, on the nights that was really special, we would pull out the venison steaks. So that was, we liked that.
You know, something I hear all the time is I don't want to go because I don't like wild game.
Oh,
It's
no.
got that whole gamey thing going on. Is there like a secret to the gamey thing to making it go away?
I mean, I think part of what makes venison so good is that there's a certain taste to it that is different that I like. But for sure, y'all probably have some secrets on how to make it even better. But you'll see a lot of secret sauces out there. I know that, which make things really delish.
Yeah, most wild game is, as Courtney said, is leaner, so you have to compensate for that. You know, put sauce on it, or you know, maybe cook it slower, or do something like that. That's kind of to make it more tender.
Yeah.
And even if you're not hungry, they do have beverages out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that. Are there other attractions besides just the wild game?
We said it was fun.
Yes.
There's actually besides that, James, they have a live auction and silent auction items, and in the past there have been a broad spectrum of things from get your name on Frenchie's van to buy an African photo safari.
Oh, very cool.
Dove hunts in Venezuela
Nice.
Yes.
have been in the past, and so don't know what's on the slate this year, but there are some really neat items out there that you can bid on.
Sounds
really
all over
are.
the board, too,
Yeah.
for what
Yes.
interests they might appeal to. Very cool. Well, to give us an idea from your perspectives, what does Wild Beast Feast look like? I mean, you mentioned the weather was great
It's-
or it was raining. Is it outside?
You know, it is outside, and we all have tents provided, and then we bring additional tents. And I mean, the way it worked when it wasn't raining, it's, you know, we're all in a circle that's probably 50 to 100 feet in diameter. So there's plenty of room to walk around, and even in that, they had the silent auction and chairs set up in one side where you can sit, or there's enough room to just keep walking and standing up and loop back around.
So are we at the fairgrounds?
At the fairgrounds,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And so they've got Fair Hall with its covered area, so you can go sit up there, and they had music up there last year. They had the live auction under the awning from Fair Hall. But even in the rain, actually, we had people just come work through our tents instead of at the front of our tents. So, you know, I think we just pulled a bunch of them together and attached them. And we kind of rigged it up But we had as much fun in that environment as when it wasn't raining.
Yeah, I remember.
agree.
I remember the rainy year and finding out. I was actually surprised to find out that the numbers didn't hurt the numbers at all. It didn't hurt the
Because
numbers.
it's informal, so you're not thinking you got to be in slacks or a high-dollar Western shirt, which, high-dollar Western shirt might fit a Wild Beast Feast, but it's not that formal. And so
So we're talking
if it's
shorts,
hot-
t-shirts, and a ball cap.
Very
Yes.
relaxed.
Yeah,
yes,
very relaxed. Okay, what do you wear, Courtney, for those girls out there that are thinking, they say that, but I'll get there and look?
Well, I mean, we always want to look cute, but no, casual, totally casual. I mean, of course, it was raining last year, so we were wearing like parkas, but to try to keep from getting soaked. But normally, it's just wear your shorts and your flip flops and come comfortable because you're going to have a good time.
Okay, so girls, you're hearing it from another girl's mouth. That's the way it works. So it's a people's choice kind of competition, or are there real judges going around judging your food?
Actually, I think there's two this year. I think there's both. I think there's the People's Choice, which the way you vote is you put tips in a tip jar, and whoever collects the most money at the end of the night is the best of beast. Is that what
I think so.
Okay.
call it?
Best
Best
of
of
I think
beast.
it is.
Which none of us have ever won, but we don't stuff the ballot box, by the way.
So see, yeah.
I'm not accusing
I was going to say
anybody.
anything.
Not
We're
accusing
seeing behind the
anybody, but, some people bring kids out there, and it's very it's in bad taste to use kids to promote something like that.
That's just
that's
cheating.
a
It's
shame.
it's cheating. It's taking advantage of people.
We've
But-
done that. We've done that, and we knew we were cheating, but we just kept doing it.
Well, I mean, if you had a Boy Scout or you had James, which one would you vote for? No, it's and I think the other one is a real judging panel comes by and
Judges
tastes-
for
tastes the
appearance,
food,
quality,
appearance,
blah, blah, yeah.
decorations, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So it's kind of like a chili festival or a wassail fest or some of those other things that happen in Denton where real judges are looking for all those qualities, but we, the people, are choosing our best taste.
That's right.
So-
Your tips or your vote.
Cool.
And what I always find fun in bringing up the other events in town is if you think you won't know anybody, but you say yes to stuff, you're going to see people that you see at other events, and that makes it more community oriented because you cross paths all the time. And people that might be hesitant, we can always use more yes people to come volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
So once you do one, it's always easier to volunteer for something else.
That's exactly right. In fact, there was an article in Sunday's paper that I do a column, and this past Sunday's paper was about that exact thing, about what a spirit of volunteerism we have in Denton. This example, I mean, Beast Feast is a great example. You're all volunteers just giving up your time to go out and cook for 300 plus people in order to help raise awareness and money to keep our wonderful arts culture healthy. So, and that's just one example, but you're right. It's way more than cooks. Somebody's got to go set up the tents. Somebody's got to do the promotions. Somebody's got to, plan for a year to make the thing, come off so that it is enjoyable for the volunteers as well as everyone that attends.
That's right.
So, hey, what is the most adventurous thing you've seen somebody try at Wild Beast Feast as far as cooking?
Didn't Walter Eagleton had something a couple years ago, and I'm just blanking what it was. And I mean, he is a chef,
Oh, wow.
He's fantastic.
I know
There's-
Walter and didn't know that about
He
him.
is.
So.
He's a very talented chef.
but I cannot remember what. I mean, he's had where you go, like you show up with quail, and you go, I didn't even think about that. That's actually creative, Walter, and he just has a touch with it.
Yeah, he'll have 3 or 4 different sauces with whatever he serves. I think he did he baked bread out there one
Yeah,
year.
he did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so
I bet that wasn't gamey.
You can always tell when someone comes and gets your meat and they put it in like his bread.
put it in
That's
his
a
bread.
win-win.
I don't know. I think turning sausage into quail is pretty adventurous to me.
That is really almost a miracle kind of thing right there.
It was incredible. Jeff thought he had just done a great job cooking that.
It sounds like an awesome, awesome time. And we're talking North Texas State Fairgrounds, right up on North Carroll, behind Kroger's, where the North Texas State Fair is. And It's Saturday,
6 to 10.
6 to 10.
Yes.
Saturday, September 28th.
Yes.
Okay. And there are tickets. Where can you buy tickets in advance, or do you buy them at the gate?
You can buy tickets at the Center for Visual Arts from GDAC.
Okay.
They have on sale there.
Okay. Is that the only location, or can you buy them online, or?
You can buy them online as well.
Okay. Just go to Greater Denton Arts Council, their website, and y'all can Google that, check it out, get your tickets, or if you decide last minute, your plans change or whatever, and you've got availability, come on out to the fairgrounds. You can buy a ticket at the door. Is there such a thing as too many people attending the event? There's not like
I
a
haven't seen
cutoff,
it.
right?
No, I haven't seen it
So-
at all.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Well, I just want to say thank you to all three of you for taking time out of your very busy schedules to be here to help promote this event and get some interest going for those of you out there in DentonRadio.com land. If you've not been to Wild Beast Feast, this is just another example of one of those quirky, cool things that go on in Denton all the time to help broaden your own experience, but also your experience of this great city that we live in. James King, Randy Robinson, Courtney Kennedy, thank you all for being here. You've heard their names here, so when you go to Wild Beast Feast, be sure you put $1 in their bucket.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll win this year. This will be your lucky year.
Or a
Hopefully
10.
so. Hopefully so. Yeah.
Thanks to all three of you, and thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
You're welcome.
There you have it. That was this week's episode of Discover Denton. A big thanks to Kim Phillips of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Another big thanks to all of our guests. A huge thanks to Gravity Feed for providing the intro and outro music. I'm Jake Laughlin, your host. Join us next week where we'll be bringing you more highlights of our original and independent city. And in the meantime, go enjoy Denton.